Hello and welcome to Arts Alive Books. Author Philip Battle was born in Prescott, Lancashire in 1958 and brought up by his grandmother, Eleanor Rigby. He wrote his first book of poems back in 1978 and became a writer and designer for Breakout magazine in Liverpool. He later became a performance poet and took up a career as an artist and designer. He spent the past 20 years of his life travelling the world as a professional pavement artist. His book, Lady Screever, is the story of Alice Coleman, the world's first female pavement artist. At the end of the 19th century, Alice endured inclement weather, overzealous policing, sexism, physical threats, and marriage proposals to support her family by illustrating the streets of London. We met up with him recently to find out more.
Wrote this book called Lady Screever, not meaning to write a book about a female pavement artist. I was actually researching another book that was called All My Own Work, which was a complete history of pavement art. Mainly because there's never been a book published on the history of pavement art, and people have basically thought it too lowly a subject to cover as a subject. And I started out, I found these photographs of female pavement artists at the turn of the century. Initially I thought they were all different artists. It didn't connect with me that it was the same person. So what I did is I put a blog together, because I do an online blog as well. I put a blog together and I associated the name of one of the photographs with Alice Coleman, a person called Alice Coleman. I was attracted to Alice's story because she was an outsider, basically. She was an outsider of society. She was working on the fringes of society, and so I thought that would be a really interesting idea for a book. I strongly believe that people working on the outside of society are the people who really change and move society forward, and that's kind of like the inspiration behind the book. And it also gave us the opportunity to set up a thing that we call Fig Mulberry Press. Fig Mulberry is an old name for a sycamore tree. Horticulturally, sycamore trees are seen as weeds, but a weed is a matter of perception. It's just a plant growing in a place where you don't want it to be. And sometimes pavement artists are a bit like that. They're in places where society doesn't want them to be, or looks down upon them as not being, what they anticipate art to be. Apparently, she was born in 1874, and she started doing pavement art about when she was 19 years of age. She had a tragedy in her life where her husband was a street acrobat. He was performing on a high wire, Victorian high wire, when he fell off and he broke his back, basically. So he became an invalid, which meant that Alice had no money. She had a family to support, and the only way she could do it was to concentrate on a hobby, which had been to draw and stuff, and decided to illustrate the streets of London at the age of 19, just to feed a family, just to make ends meet. Every single day she would go out onto the streets. She became known as the Lady Screever, which is what the book is called, Lady Screever, and she became world known, world renowned. Her story was followed throughout the press, as far as Australia, New York, all parts of the globe, really. She was a world famous, almost celebrity, and I thought it was an interesting story because I'm a pavement artist myself, and I've travelled the world, And the difference between pavement art now and pavement art then is well, it's a million miles away. When Alice started in 1893, women didn't even have the vote; they had no voice whatsoever, and she was always well dressed. She took a professional point of view of pavement art. She would turn up at exactly the same time every morning, and she would work through till 8 o'clock in the evening. One of the things that interested me about Alice was the influence she had over the suffragette movement in the turn of the century. Because of her pavement art activity, she actually inspired the suffragettes to do their own chalking art campaign, and they would go out in chalking parties and demonstrate on the streets, and do art on the streets to collect money for the suffrage movement, the women's movement. And they'd use three colours of chalk: the white, purple, and green. And they would. She had a great influence over the women's suffrage movement, and I think that's quite inspiring. Especially now, we've just had a film called Suffragette, which is amazingly the first film to be produced about the suffragettes ever. I mean, it's quite incredible that such a movement has only just now, 100 years on, been covered. There is a misconception about pavement art and about how artists used to be, and they kind of get lumped together with street art, with graffiti, with pavement begging and stuff like that. But she was never a beggar. All the work that she did was professionally done. She had a skill to do it, and it was well regarded as it's kind of like a trade. So if illustrations on the street would make people feel happier about themselves, then they could give money. She never held out at her hat and asked for money. Today, pavement art is considered a professional career option. People do make a living out of street art today, and I thought it was the right time to produce this book. Well, we work as Urban Canvas, myself and my partner Catherine, and we're professional pavement artists. We've been pavement artists for about 20 years now, and we've worked all over the country. In fact, we're the only ones in the UK to make a full-time professional living out of it, and we kind of travel all wide and near. We've been to Singapore, Bahrain, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, anywhere you can mention really. But people may know us because for the last 4 years we've done the Mersey River Festival, and they would have seen us outside the Museum of Liverpool Life. We take over that entire span of area there and encourage people to get involved and do pavement art there. And we've done some incredible giant octopuses and starfish there, and we've taken over that entire area, so people would have known us from that. And this year we took part in the Three Queens event as well in Liverpool. Next year we're hoping to do similar Liverpool based events, but most of our work is outside of Liverpool. For the past 2 years we've worked with we've become the only pavement artists to appear at the National Theatre in London, where they actually they see it as a performance art, because it is a performance art, and they kind of like put the deck chairs out, and for 4 hours people can watch us creating art on the pavement. We've got a number of books on the go that we hope to produce. One of it is about Breakout, that early music scene. And I've also got a kind of a book called Growing Up with Eleanor Rigby, and that's more a self-autobiographical book. My grandmother was Eleanor Rigby, and she grew up in Speke the childhood home of Paul McCartney, no less. I've got a follow-up to Lady Screever coming out called London Types, which is about forgotten pavement artists in London from 1850 to 1975, and it's all the characters and these forgotten artists, basically. And I'm really interested in the idea that artists are forgotten and they're just like cast aside and then rediscovered, these lives, because I mean life is so transigent, and it's like almost like a chalk drawing our lives, we sort of live it and then it's erased from all memory. It's gone, it's only here for the moment, until somebody like me or like anybody, a writer, just discovers them and brings them back into the consciousness again.
If you have any comments or suggestions for the show, please contact us at artsalivebooks@baytvliverpool.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. See you on the next edition of Arts Alive Books. Good night.